Okay, hey y'all, welcome back to Mahogany Sweets. I wanted to come back and talk to you guys about the Vado and Tahiry situation that happened on Love and Marriage Boot Camp, because the way that y'all are portraying this picture, I'm really not rocking with, right? So it's a scene towards the end of the episode. Vado, Tahiry was speaking. All the couples were sitting down and sitting next to each other, speaking with Dr. Ish. Tahiri, when it came time for Dr. Ish to address them two, had started off and she was saying, like, I know a lot of people think that I'm aggressive and that, I blow up or act out or something like that. And how she's misportrayed as this firecracker, I guess you can say. And Vado turned over and it looked like he was choking her ass, right? But it's been said that he actually wasn't choking her. He just like was hemming up her shirt. But from the angle and maybe I guess with editing, that's why it looked like he was like doing that. But anyway, Dr. Ish immediately had broken it up or whatever, got Vado to another location. And the other people, were just shocked, stunned, frozen, sitting still. A lot of people, specifically on Instagram in the shade room, were speaking about it. And they were going off about Vado doing that and dogging him. And I'm thinking to myself, like, did we all just watch the same episode? Or did y'all just see a clip of him turning around and looking to be choking this woman? Because if you watch the episode, it's a bit different than how it's being portrayed. Of course, no man should be violent. Domestic violence is not okay. Him turning around and choking her, or him and her up, was not okay. And people were also tripping about the other men who were in the room who seemed to have been doing anything. But this is what y'all gotta remember about that. First off, they are on a television show where there is security there. They are other guests. That is the job of security, to handle that type of situation. That's why they have security there. The other thing is the men and women were in shock. It had caught them off guard to a degree. It had caught them off guard. So them freezing up is not something that would be uncommon. I do believe if it was not that setting, like a television show with security, with producers and stuff like that, yes, those men probably would have responded differently. But you just got to understand the environment that they in, which could depict their behavior. But anyway, people was going on talking about, oh, if he act like this and he's so comfortable doing this while they're on national television, what he doing behind the scenes, he's abusive, he's an asshole, those other men on the show ain't shit and all that. I personally looked at it completely different. And I am going to tell you why. Just like men can be abusive, so can women. And I am tired of people not holding domestic violence, emotional abuse, mental abuse, verbal abuse, and physical abuse at the same standard for each gender. Because yes, there are women who are abusive, who are violent, and Tahiry is one of those women. And I am not justifying what Vado did, but I was just shocked that no one was holding her accountable for her actions. If you look at even 5 minutes before, actually it even went back further than 5 minutes. But if you look at the previous part before that scene in the show, actually if you look at the whole season so far, Tahiry has been being condescending to him, belittling him, screaming and yelling at him, demasculating him, and being physically violent to him as well. This was actually the first time they showed him having a reaction to it. But even previous before that, she had just thrown 2 apples in this man's face. I don't know if y'all noticed, but apples are hard, and she threw them at close range, so it wasn't even like it was from a distance. Like, she's violent. Even before that, before she threw the apples, she had basically threw up a chair on him. She was being very aggressive and doing things that if a man was behaving exactly like her, saying the things that she was saying, in the tone that she was saying it, making the physical gestures that she was making, throwing food and items, that is still violent. That is still abuse. That, whether it's from a woman or a man, that is still assault with a weapon to do that. So it had pissed me off, and I actually had just stated it on Instagram, on the shade room, under some people comments like, Okay, well, we calling out him. She's just as much an abuser as he is. She is just as violent as he is. They both then are trash in a relationship, as partners or whatever, because nothing that she has been doing all season has been anything that a woman should do. And if you look at the whole season so far, thus far, her behavior, her actions towards him, she would be the aggressor and the abuser in a relationship, and his would have been a moment of snapping and finally standing up for himself. Actually, I mean, like, if you just want to be real about it. So I was kind of upset by that narrative. And I think that the other reason why some of the men may have responded who were present the way that they did is because they all, and the other castmates, even the women, because they all have been present and privy to her behavior, her violent, aggressive, demeaning, abusive behavior towards him thus far through the season. So if he, at this moment, his first time on the show, showing any type of physical aggression towards her, means that he's much worse in person than she has shown us, because she's been doing things on camera, feeling real comfortable with doing it all season thus far, that are abusive. Shows us that she is an abuser and doing much worse behind cameras. Like, this woman is calling him names. She's throwing items at him. She's demeaning him and mentally abusing him constantly, putting him down. So if anyone is a real victim of domestic violence and of mental and emotional abuse, then it would be him, not actually her. Okay? So either go back and look at that full episode, or go back and look at this previous season and be fair and stop being unbiased. Men are abused all the time. It is a lot of battered men. But you know what? Y'all don't care. And they showed and proved that, because even the cast members, while she has been dogging this man out, cursing him out, screaming and yelling at him, calling him names, belittling him, calling him little boys and broke and all of that, none of them were upset about it. None of them were shocked about it. None of them held her accountable to it. But then the minute that he turned around and snaps, has had enough, and he, in the slightest bit, showed a sign of aggression by putting his hands, I guess, either on her shirt or around her neck. Everybody want to be in an uproar and, oh, this cannot be tolerated, and we have to protect women at all costs. Yes, we do need to protect women at all costs, but we need to protect men too. Yes, men should be held responsible for their behavior and how they interact with women. But yes, women also need to be held accountable and addressed for how they behave. Women should not be dehumanizing, belittling, putting down, and being abusive towards men, or physically harming them or throwing stuff at them either. That should have been checked way before now, which probably would have stopped her behavior. So he needs to take accountability in his part for that. He should not have let her get away with this type of behavior for this long. Because guess what? I have a son, I have brothers, I have fathers. And I would be very upset if I found out that some woman was treating my loved one the way that she had been treating him. If I seen that crap, oh man, her would have been throwing hands, and I would have been telling my brother, my son, my father, this is not someone who you need to be with, because they are not respecting you and treating you the way that you deserve to be treated. So just as much as we advocate for women having high self-esteem, respecting and loving themselves, and not putting up with bull crap or accepting anything less than being treated like a prize by men, we should be advocating the same thing to our men. Instead, y'all are giving a clear sign and indication to men that it's okay for a woman to walk all over you, dog you, abuse you in any type of way. And if you one day get upset about it and show any sign of aggression back towards that woman, it's your fault. You're the problem. No, I will not be raising my son to accept mental, emotional, or physical abuse from a woman. I also would not be raising him to behave back towards a woman in that way. I have had the conversation actually already with my son with playing with little girls, because I had to let my son know. Girls, to a degree, are just like boys in the sense of when they like you, they're going to nitpick at you, basically bully you. Because my son was having this issue with this little girl who somewhat was bullying him. And he was very upset and irritated by it. He like, Mom, she always bothering me. She always trying to say something smart to me and be in my way and stuff. And I had to explain to him, I said, oh, guess what? She actually likes you. And that is her way of trying to show it, to not feel rejected. She don't know how to show it. I said, so just be nice to her and tell her that you like her and that you want to be her friend. But at first he was still really upset. But after it settled in him and he understood, like, oh, okay, this girl actually has a crush on me, he was able to handle it better and came to the conclusion that he actually likes her too, other than her bullying and always trying to nitpick at him. So I told him, I said, well, tell her that you want to be friends with her, but she don't need to display or get your attention in this kind of way. But anyway, that's a whole nother point. But what I'm trying to say is, like, I've already tried to express to my son, no, you don't accept someone treating you this way. Speak with them and let them know this is how you want to be treated, and if they're going to deal with you, how they're going to treat you. And to also try and look and assess why their behavior may be showing up the way it is, because that would differentiate between your approach to addressing the situation. In his situation, the little girl deeply liked him and don't know how to show that, but it's still unacceptable behavior. Express that and let him know that. And we talked to the teacher, he talked with her, everything was fine. But anyway, do not put this expectation on men to behave at a certain standard, and at the same time tell them to allow women to abuse them and treat them any kind of way. And then on the flip side of that, want to hold men accountable to every little thing and tell women that, oh, there's no wrong that you could do or that you have done to deserve to be treated any kind of way. Why isn't that the same for a man? Because there's no reason, nothing that he had done to deserve to be treated that way by Tahiry. She was dead wrong, and she's a trash ass woman as far as when it comes to a relationship. The same way he's a trash ass man, because number one, the other reason I was looking at him that way is because as him being a man, right, you, the minute she began displaying this type of behavior towards you and this level of disrespect and violence, he should have cut her off then too. He should have checked her. Hey, you're gonna have to bring your frequency up to here or it's over. And if she continued, he should have walked away from her. But no, we're not rolling with this concept of there's nothing in the world a woman can do to deserve to be treated like this, but then saying that there's nothing in the world that that justifies a man responding in that same manner. When you put out an action into the world, you are going to receive the same power frequency of reaction or greater, flat out. She had been constantly bombarding him with negative and violent energy. There was only a matter of time before he displayed some of that energy back to her. And then one of the things that he stated that really triggered him, because at first I was thinking like, I'm still not giving him a pass on it, because I would have understood that moment, split second reaction if he had done it right after she was hitting him with the apples. Like, okay, he had dealt with her doing all this talking, pushing up the chair on him and doing all this type of crap. But now you have actually picked up something to assault him when. Then she tried to say, talking about she was just playing. No, that's childlike behavior. She studied walking around emasculating him, calling him a child, a boy. But then you're throwing apples at him, talking about at his face at that, talking about I was just playing. It was like, no, that is not playful behavior. And y'all wouldn't accept a man hitting a female upside her head with something and accept, oh, he was playing. So no, we're not going to play this game of what's not good for the goose isn't good for the gander. If it's good enough and y'all was cool and y'all ignored all of her violent, excessive behavior, don't try and ride him like this or try and cancel him for that. And he has stated that his main problem, though, what triggered him, and why he hadn't responded like that immediately after her throwing the apples, but it was at that moment, was because she still was not taking accountability and still never gave him an apology. He had just been taking her abuse all this time, and she still could never apologize. And that's another thing that y'all women need to work on. I've already, come to in this area, but you cannot try to critique and pick apart every single behavior of a man and expect him to always apologize and bow down to you, while you, on the other hand, never take any accountability, never give what it is that you are demanding from a man. You cannot ask for something that you are not willing to give. And you cannot do certain things and not expect to receive that same treatment back in return. So his whole problem was like she wouldn't even acknowledge that she was wrong or even apologize for it. So I now, once he stated that, I understood why he ended up being triggered and reacting at that moment versus previously to them. It was because it was just like, okay, I just took all this abuse for this long. You never acknowledge it. I never get an apology. And you continue in it. Yeah. So I actually understand him turning around and snapping at that point. But no, I'm not canceling him. This is what we as a people need to get together and understand is we are not canceling our own people. We are ministering to, healing, chastising, correcting, disciplining, teaching each other and embracing each other. We will not be canceling our own people for anything. We will educate them to do better, demand of them to do better, show an example of us doing better, and embrace and love the men as they grow and we all grow in whatever areas we need to be better. So this could be a learning example for all of us, for men and women. Men, value yourselves, require women to come to behave a certain way in the presence of you, demand that. And if that woman is not treating you the way that you need and deserve to be treated, then you need to cancel her. And y'all deserve to be treated well and with respect and dignity, and y'all do not deserve to be yelled at, screamed at, cursed at, called names. That is not okay for y'all to be treated like that. And I'm sorry the society is trying to make y'all think that that's okay, because it is not. And it's a learning experience for oh right, because men also, you need to do that, because then that protects you from getting in situations like this where you have suffered the abuse of a woman in the many forms that it comes in to, and then when you have a weak moment of snapping, you won't come to that if you address it and treat yourself the way that you deserve to be treated, for her to know she's not going to treat you any kind of way other than the way you deserve to be treated. You won't even get to that point. So men, stop dealing with women who are toxic and refuse to heal, grow, and acknowledge their toxicity. And then women, what you need to learn to do through this situation is you cannot walk around behaving like this towards men. You can't do it and then not expect anything back or try to play victim once you get met back with that same energy. No, it's not okay. It's not right. Let's do better by each other. Let's heal the gender strife and resentment and toxicity. Like, the sexes, men and women need to come together. We need each other. We were made to actually love each other and add to each other's lives, not diminish it. And we need to set the right example for our peers and these babies, this next generation coming up. She owes him an apology, and he owes her an apology. And if they cannot function together in a healthy way, then they need to dissolve all contact with each other. And I feel bad for Vado that he is having to take the fall as the bad guy when he's actually not. That is all.